Hey there, it's Kerri. Thank you so much for joining me on this latest episode of Invisible Wounds Healing from Trauma. This is episode 41, and I'm going to take a little bit of time for a reflective moment or two with this one. I'm so glad that we're walking the path towards healing together. So, just a quick reminder, I am not a clinician, counselor, or physician. I'm a certified trauma and resiliency life coach, a certified trauma support specialist, advocate, and someone with lots of lived experience with trauma. Also, the information presented in this podcast is for educational purposes only and not meant to replace treatment by a doctor or any other licensed professional. All right, let's dive in. So, reflections. Why reflections? Well, I turned 60 on Monday, November 13th, and this has felt pretty big to me. I mean, typically my birthdays haven't ever really been a big deal. I think maybe turning 40 made me stop and think a little bit. But the fact that I was turning 60 hit me really hard about 5 months ago. I mean, this past year has been absolutely amazing in so many ways. I mean, in December of last year, I didn't have an organization, a website, a podcast, nothing. I have learned so many new things this year, things I never thought I'd be able to get this old brain-damaged lady to figure out. But I did, step by step, the way I always talk about. That's the only way we learn things. And as trauma survivors, being terrified of new things is absolutely the way we operate. But I had to get through all of that and work past it. And I did. The age thing for me has a few components, marked by some of the traumas in my life. So for many years, my time was marked by certain things I needed to get past. For example, and those of you who have been listening know this, my little sister passed away suddenly at 6 years old. So I was terrified, irrationally of course, that my children wouldn't be safe until each one of them reached 7 years old. Once they passed 6 safely, I was more reassured. And for me, getting through 52 was a moment. My mom died at 52, and even though she had major chronic and complex health issues, none of which I had, I was again, irrationally, terrified I wouldn't make it past 52. But make it I did. I did an interview earlier this year with Kerri on her series Visible Women, which looks at women and aging, how they feel about it, and what concerns them regarding it. And I hadn't thought much about it until then. But as I looked at my life and what I'd gone through, some pretty significant things came up. First of all, there was the childhood trauma piece. And I have this video posted to my website, and it's of Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, who is the founder of the Center for Youth Wellness, and she's the current Surgeon General of California. Her TED Talk, entitled How Childhood Trauma Affects Health Across a Lifetime, was eye-opening for me. She talks about the Adverse Childhood Experiences Questionnaire, or ACEs, and I've talked about that on an earlier show, and what that means. So out of 10 questions, every yes gets a point. 4 or more is considered high. My score is an 8. What struck me the most was the fact that those with a high ACEs score could potentially have their life expectancy cut by 20 years. That was a bit sobering. Then there are the effects I have due to my burst brain aneurysm and traumatic brain injury. This brings up for me the possibility of dementia, Alzheimer's, and chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE. According to the Alzheimer's Association, research has indicated that those with moderate to severe traumatic brain injury have an increased risk of cognitive decline or dementia. The key studies showing an increased risk found that older adults with a history of moderate TBI had a 2.3 times greater risk of developing Alzheimer's than seniors with no history of head injury. Those with a history of severe TBI had a 4.5 times greater risk. Another sobering thought. And then this brings me to CTE. Don't make me say chronic traumatic encephalopathy again. That's a tough one for me. CTE is a progressive and fatal brain disease associated with repeated traumatic brain injuries. Now, right now, the only way to diagnose CTE is to examine the brain after death. There's currently no diagnostic test available to find it in the living. Another worry. And it's not so much for me, but I worry more about what my children will have to deal with. After all, if I'm not aware of what's happening, I won't know. But my children will. What will they have to deal with? What will they do with me? I laugh and I tell my son, who lives close to me here in Phoenix, that he gets me when I'm older. But what kind of a burden will that be for him? The last thing we want to do is place any unnecessary stress and burdens on our children. And my husband is 14 years older than I am and is a quadruple bypass survivor. And we deal with the very real fact that, he won't be around forever. And most likely he will be gone before me. So, the worry kind of about what happens to me after that is a concern. So on the flip side of this coin is the fact that in spite of all I've been through, I have survived. I'm still here. And every day that I wake up, I practice my gratitude routine. I am extraordinarily grateful for every moment. When I'm struggling, as we all do, and believe me, I have days where I really struggle just to get through, I bring my thoughts back around to that fact. I take my moments as gracefully as I can, and I think about all I've done and all I've learned, and I am so very fortunate to be able to do what I'm doing, helping others, and learning how to spread my wings, finally, at the advanced age of 60. And it really goes to show you that it doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you never stop learning or growing, expanding your horizons. Don't ever stop being open to new ideas and what life has to offer you. I am also so grateful for all of you. Those of you who listen to my show, have been following me and supporting me, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I wouldn't be where I am in this moment without you. Thanks for allowing me this little bit of time today and for listening. And please keep on listening. Wherever you listen, please like, subscribe, favorite, follow me, and share widely, please. And what you think really matters to me too. So please comment on the show. Let me know what you think, whatever's on your mind. You can find me on Facebook at Kerri Walker and at Invisible Wounds Healing from Trauma, on Twitter at Kerri Walker 58, my website, and this is long, InvisibleWoundsHealingFromTrauma.com, and my YouTube channel, of course, Invisible Wounds Healing from Trauma. Look for my new episodes dropping every Monday on all of your favorite podcast, music, and listening apps. Please take extra good care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.